Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today's video I'm going to be doing a movie review on The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the 5th entry in the Hunger Games series. It was released in 2023. It stars Tom Blythe, Rachel Zegler, and Peter Dinklage. There's the plot of the movie. I couldn't word it any better, so I'm just going to let Lionsgate do the talking. There you go. And without further ado, let's just begin with this review, and let's start talking about the positives. First thing to say in the positives section, one thing that stood out to me in this movie is the cast. In general, it's got quite a decent cast. Tom Blythe is okay as Coriolanus Snow. He's obviously not on the level of Donald Sutherland, can't speak, sorry, but he's still pretty good. We obviously have Peter Dinklage in here, who is really good. He's Peter Dinklage, of course he's going to be good. He's not in the movie that much, but when he is in the movie, he makes his character, like, very believable, if that makes sense. And it's a shame that Rachel Zegler made the comments that she did, because she actually gives quite a strong performance in this movie. She plays a singer, you know, Songbird, and she's good with the whole, like, performer side of her character. I believe she was in the 2021 West Side Story, so maybe she's just, like, good at this type of thing, but she's quite good in the film. Probably the most entertaining part of this movie for me was the actual Hunger Games stuff. This is the first Hunger Games movie since the original to actually have a Hunger Games in it, and I was worried that it wasn't going to be able to, like, recapture the brutality of the ones from the earlier movies, in particular the first one. And it did kind of feel that way around the beginning, in my opinion, but I feel like it was able to, like, recapture it enough. Like, it's obviously nowhere near on the level of the earlier movies, again, specifically the first one, but I think it does do a fairly good job, to be honest, at showing the kind of, you know, yes, again, brutality of the Hunger Games. I think it does it enough, and it results in, you know, as I said, I think the actual Hunger Games, it's the most entertaining part of the movie for me. This movie is kind of divided into 3 sections in, like, an explicit way as well. If you've seen the movie, you'll know what I mean by that. And the second, like, section is the one that focuses on the Hunger Games, and that is the part of the movie I enjoyed the most. Additionally, this is a movie that is just fun for fans. Fans might want to see this story about Coriolanus, and I think it may satisfy them. Fans will be happy to see the Hunger Games movies return, I'm pretty sure. And the movie obviously has some interesting things, such as, like, the question of what are the Hunger Games for, and stuff like that fans might want to see. And, you know, I think it's great that the movie delivers that. I think audiences will enjoy being sat in a cinema watching a Hunger Games movie again. I could tell my audience certainly was. It was really packed as well, so that's great to see. But now let's just move on to the negatives. From the very beginning, I've been against this movie, and, like, I hadn't watched the Hunger Games movies before it. Like, I hadn't. I wasn't already, like, a pre-existing Hunger Games fan, angry that the movies were returning. I was just angry that the movies were returning in general. Like, the one word that comes to mind when I think about this movie is unnecessary. And I know that they did it because they released a new book, or, you know, a new book was released, but, like, we didn't need this movie. It feels so unbelievably unnecessary, genuinely. It's a prequel that I don't think we needed to see in a film, and it's like, you know, maybe I could call the book unnecessary, and, like, maybe, you know, maybe we just didn't need the book, but I also really think that we didn't need the film either. It results in a movie that I just struggle to care about, and all of the story stuff past, like, the actual Hunger Games stuff, in my opinion, it's not interesting. The movie doesn't do enough to get you invested in the story, like, at all, in my opinion. The original Hunger Games movies were really riveting, in my opinion, and they delivered a story throughout the movies that I was really invested in. And it really hurts to see a Hunger Games movie that I was not invested in. Additionally, I thought all of the story stuff, like I mentioned, all the story stuff outside of the Hunger Games stuff, I just thought it was all, like, kind of messy in a way. Like, the movie, obviously the main focus of the movie is Coriolanus Snow, and it's telling the story of him. That's what the movie is about. Prequel to the Hunger Games movies, tells, you know, the pre-existing Hunger Games movies, obviously, and tells the story of 18-year-old Coriolanus Snow. And that, you know, obviously that's meant to be the main focus of the movie, but I feel like the movie doesn't focus on it enough. Like, I feel like it spends a bit too much time, maybe spends a bit too much time on the Hunger Games stuff. And as a result, when you get to the moments that are meant to be more dramatic and more impactful, and when you get those big story moments, you know, with this being the story of Coriolanus Snow, it doesn't work very well, because the movie is just, I feel like it lacks commitment in a way, and especially because the movie has an almost 2-hour 40-minute runtime. In that runtime, you should be able to tell this story completely fine, I think, and it does not do that. And the movie just, it sort of, like, kind of drags in a few places, kind of, that wasn't really a major issue for me, but I did kind of feel that it just did not need to be this long whatsoever, in my opinion. It's a movie that has just kind of inconsistent storytelling, if that makes sense. By the time you get to the end of it, it kind of acts like it focused on Coriolanus entirely, like, for the entire movie. Obviously, it doesn't have to do that, but it does really act that way, as if we've seen a really riveting story, like very much focused on him, and the actual movie did not feel that way in my opinion. I really think they messed this one up quite a bit, to be honest. It rushes through a few things, the storytelling isn't particularly interesting, and it just feels like they made this movie because a new book got released and they wanted money. Like, it just felt that way in my opinion. Like, I'm not calling this movie a cash grab or anything, but it certainly doesn't feel like they made this movie because they really wanted to put this new Hunger Games story on the screen. And if that is the reason why they made this movie, they did not do enough to make me care or invested or make me interested whatsoever. Genuinely. Like, again, it was a movie that I was against from the very beginning, but that didn't stop me from going into it with an open mind. I really wanted to be, like, pleasantly surprised, or, like, I wanted to end up being invested, but I really wasn't, and again, I did go into it with an open mind. I genuinely did. But the movie just feels so distractingly unnecessary, and it really, really takes away from it. It seriously hurts the film. It just did not need to be made, in my opinion. Like, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I don't think it needed to, I don't think it needs to exist. I don't think this movie justifies its existence whatsoever. Overall, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's a hugely unnecessary continuation of a franchise that reached its natural end long before, that nobody asked for, with a really long title. But I didn't dislike this movie as much as I was expecting to. I enjoyed it a bit more than I was expecting to. It's a watchable enough piece of entertainment at best, in my opinion, but the movie is just seriously dragged down by the runtime was a major issue, and how do I word this? The feeling of unnecessary, I can't word this, sorry guys. The lingering feeling of how unnecessary it is looming over every frame, and the movie was just not enjoyable in my opinion because of that. Like, it's like, I just don't think it needed to exist in my opinion. But that is just my opinion. I'm gonna give the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, a 5.5 out of 10. Thank you very much for watching this review. If you did enjoy, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. If you have seen this movie, feel free to let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.